We have show host Emily Marsh. And Emily, are you coming to us from the satellite of love?
Oh, I am but I like to think of it more as the bus satellite of love.
Okay, the bus satellite of love.
Basically,
All right.
exactly the mobile one.
The mobile one, yeah. When you say Mystery Science Theater, people either go, uh-huh, or they go, oh yeah. It's interesting how it started on a UHF station in Minneapolis, aired from 1988 to 1999. I ran across it by accident, and I found myself mesmerized by it. I can't tell you what channel it was at the time or whatever. I just always say, oh, there it is again. It's for people who are new to this or didn't see it before. Explain to them the basic plot. I did a little bit of it, but explain to them the basic plot.
Yeah, so essentially it's you're watching a bad movie with three professional comedians who are making fun of it for you so you can actually enjoy it. And what you've definitely mentioned is the lore around it. That's the main premise of the show. But the background is that it is a man who is being tested on by mad scientists, and he essentially has made two robots to help him make fun of these movies so he does not lose his sanity.
It was recently revived by Netflix, and I gotta say, just in that sentence that you said, it means probably more today than ever before. It makes sense more today than ever before to do something so you don't lose your sanity.
100%. Talk about, I'm sure nobody can relate to having to be in their house watching movie after movie by themselves and maybe feeling a little like unhinged by the end of it. I think it's definitely way more relatable now than it ever has been before.
Yeah. Of course, we have, Cambot, Gypsy, Tom Servo, Crow, the original robots to keep us company. But it turned into pop culture, obviously. It's one of those things that resurfaced because millions of fans were saying, we want it back. We love this. It had a cult following. To the point where there was millions of dollars donated for a Kickstarter campaign.
That's correct. And actually, that has now happened twice, which is the crazy thing, is that the first Kickstarter made it possible for the show to have its Netflix rerun. And now this second Kickstarter, which just happened, I can't believe it. It's been so much has been happening the past couple of months, but it was in April of last year that they did a second Kickstarter, raised $7 million, and we're able to now we're doing 13 new episodes on the Gizmoplex, which is a new streaming platform that we'll be releasing.
When they came across your resume, you could have not been more perfect for this job. What kind of kid were you? What kind of parents did you have?
Oh man. Well, so funnily enough, I always tell this is the story of how I got this audition because MST3K had just had an audition for their live show, and my part was supposed to be just a person that assisted Joel, was just another live character. And so going into audition, I didn't realize that Joel would be behind the table. And so I shared where I came to this show from, which was my dad had introduced MST3K to me. And the funny thing was that my mom famously does not care for this show. For anybody who has a Misty in their life, I'm sure you also know there's some people who just don't quite get this weird little show.
Like Misty, yeah.
My mom is one of them.
That's pretty funny. There's something else that you do that's really interesting. So I think a lot of times in the creative world, we think about acting and things like that, but we don't think about some of the other things that go into entertainment. You're a puppeteer.
That's correct. And that's actually how I auditioned for this show. I thought I was going to be a puppeteer.
And you did puppeteering jobs across the country, but now you auditioned for the singing puppeteer role, but you ended up in front of the camera.
Yes, that is exactly correct. And that had been all of my experience up until that point, was some acting, but mostly just either being behind the scenes or having a bag over my head or basically anything that's like, get the human out of there, put the puppet up. So now it's been the opposite. It's so funny.
Did that help you kind of segue into it, that you could, focus on the puppets and the acting and the voices and things, and then finally segue into, we're seeing you, we're focusing on you?
That is very true. It does help because I know that how much work the puppeteers are doing, especially on our tour. Nate and Connor, you never see them. The puppets just really come to life. But really under that desk, they are doing some very difficult work to make it look so effortless.
Okay.
And funnily enough, I think being a puppeteer in a weird way has made acting more challenging, actually, I would say.
Funny. I bet you there's some kids out there right now going, I'm changing my major. I'm going to be puppeteering. All right, Wednesday's live show. It's going to be a lot of everything going on.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And a very bad movie. So be prepared.
Ripping the movie, making contact. Tell folks what they can expect.
Oh boy, you can expect it's Roland Emmerich, guy who directed Independence Day, one of his very first movies, 80s, alleges to be a children's movie, ventriloquist dummy that's haunted, paranormal activity, and just a whole lot of not making any sort of sense.
Yeah, well,
and
my
maybe
son and I are both
fart jokes.
ADHD, so this is going to make all the sense in the world. But there's a lot of like homages to certain things, poltergeist, the whole bit. You watched it 40 times to prepare for this. I can see why, and I bet you it's one of those things. If you went to it over and over again, you're going to see something different every time.
Oh, 100%. And there's definitely a lot of things in this movie, a lot of references that once you've seen this movie, you will be surprised. How did this not get sued by Lucas, by the Smurfs? There's just tons of different references in this movie itself without us doing anything.
Yeah, I'll tell you why, because they love it too. Let me round out with someone, I was explaining it to them. I was so excited about it. I was running through all that stuff and they go, that doesn't make any sense. I'm like, what in the world is making sense right now? This does make sense to me right now. So when it's all said and done, this kind of entertainment, how important is it in society? We can dismiss it as just entertainment, but it does something when you leave.
Oh, it definitely does. I think there's something to be said that really the theme of this show is that even in the most difficult times, when you think you're about to lose your mind because something seems so unbearably awful, is that there is still some way to find a silver lining, to make fun of it, and to have friends come together and sort of just community is so important in those moments. So
Yeah.
even if it is watching a terrible movie, but I like to think of it applies to a lot of different situations in life.
And in a more personal sense for you, a lot of times people say, when I grow up, I want to, and they stay on track and they don't see opportunities coming their way. I'm not sure you would have seen this opportunity coming your way when you were a child, but just being open to things and possibilities.
Absolutely. And I think there definitely was a part of me. I was in a kind of a tough situation when I was auditioning for this show, just with some personal stuff that wasn't going well. Could have not gone to that audition, but I remember saying it was like, it's MST3K. Like, this is a dream job. I just got to go try for it. And man, I'm really, really glad I did.
We are too. Can't wait to see it. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Absolutely. Thank you, Deborah.